Going into this year, the state of Wisconsin faced enormous budget challenges. Debt skyrocketed out of control. Taxes were up. Good-paying jobs were down. Segregated funds had been raided. One-time federal stimulus money was gone, and we had hundreds of millions of dollars of unpaid bills. Our state government had been very responsible. Here's the challenge that we faced. Our structural deficit had exploded. We were broke. If we didn't act, we'd face mountains of debt that stifle opportunity to save, invest, and grow. To make matters worse, the one-time stimulus money from Washington that had been used to balance past budgets was gone. Rising property taxes had placed an unneeded strain on middle-class families all across Wisconsin. Think about it. The average property tax owner saw their property taxes go up by nearly 50% in the past 10 years. Now, you and I know that those increases are unsustainable for families struggling to make ends meet. When confronted with all these problems, we had a choice. We could maintain the status quo and leave behind a mountain of debt and unpaid bills, or we could choose to change course and secure Wisconsin's future for our children and grandchildren. Families all across Wisconsin have cut back in these tough times. Now we're respecting those families and not asking them to pay any more. The budget that I signed into law saves Wisconsin taxpayers from the crushing debt and out-of-control spending that would negatively impact future generations. It turns Wisconsin's record-breaking $3.6 billion structural deficit into a surplus over the next 2 years. This historic budget is balanced while maintaining the core services that we rely on, without massive public employee layoffs or tax increases, which is what is happening in many states across the country. In addition to removing long-term debts from the backs of our children and grandchildren, our budget virtually freezes property taxes. Under this budget, the average Wisconsin property taxpayer will save roughly $700. Those are real savings that families can use as they see fit. And when we were told that the state could expect an additional $600 million in tax revenue over the next 3 years that originally was unaccounted for, some wanted to spend that money immediately. That would have been irresponsible. As a state, we have obligations from years past that must be fulfilled. Things like the illegal raid of $200 million from the Patients' Compensation Fund, or the $60 million owed to the state of Minnesota for a tax reciprocity agreement. As any Wisconsin family knows, you have to balance the checkbook and pay the bills first. And that's exactly what we decided to do. A couple weeks ago, I received a note from a woman named Tina in Green Bay. Now, she could have written a heart-wrenching note about her challenges, but what she wrote was inspiring. I think she summed up all that's good about Wisconsin and reminds us all why there's reason for optimism. Tina said that she's married with 2 children and a third on the way. Her family lives on $40,000 a year, which they don't consider to be poor because they manage their money carefully. She said to me, "We don't buy anything on credit. We saved so we could buy a house and keep our monthly payments down low. We don't rely on government assistance. We understand that balancing the budget is important." She also said, "I am hopeful that your emphasis on job creation will continue as my college-educated husband, the sole provider of our family, struggles to find a good-paying job in the private sector. After losing his job more than a year ago to downsizing, he accepted the best job he could find. Wisconsin's improvement on the business-friendly list are outstanding and will hopefully encourage job growth soon that will ultimately benefit our family." When people question some of the things we do and ask why we are working so hard to improve our business climate and our budget, I think about Tina and her family and the thousands of others like her all across Wisconsin. Tina's optimism and passion embody Wisconsin. It's for Tina and everyone else like her that I'm signing a budget that finally makes the hard decisions. So working together, we can get Wisconsin working again.